Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a full face testing and review of Vieve Beauty. This has been one of the most requested full faces on my channel for a long time now. So I'm so sorry if I've kept you waiting, but I finally have acquired all of the products I need to fully give this brand a Charlotte going over. What's good, what's worth the money, what should you skip on? Without further ado, let's get started. So if you're not familiar with Vieve Beauty, this is Jamie Genevieve's brand. So Jamie is a Scottish YouTuber, highly successful, started her own brand a few years ago now, and we've now got to the point where she pretty much has all of our bases covered. She's pretty much got a full offering of products now, been highly successful. I would describe it as a sort of mid-range brand along the sort of price points of like MAC and Nars, in that sort of middle area between drugstore and like high-end luxury. It's right in the middle, really nice price points, but with quite elevated packaging as well. Really well thought out products that are all made in Italy, cruelty free. This brand has a lot going for it, so hence the reason you guys have been asking me, give us a full face of this brand, because you want to know what's worth it, what's not. So I have received a few items from Vieve in PR, and then I've purchased the rest to make up this full face. So if you want to know what was purchased and what was PR, I will have it listed clearly in the description box for you. But PR or not, you know that doesn't make any difference to me. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Skin Nova primer. This is one of the products that I've had for a little longer than some of the others, so I do sort of know how I feel about this already, and I like it. It's not one of my favourite primers, it's just that I typically prefer to use a primer for more of a smoothing purpose as opposed to the Radiant primers, because I just feel like that's more what I want my primer to focus on. Typically my foundations are quite glowy, so I don't really need like the extra glow from a primer. I prefer to have like the extra smoothing bonus, but this does feel really nice and hydrating and light, and it does give my skin a little bit of a nice glow to it, but it's not sort of shimmery, sparkly or like highlighty. It is a nice product to sort of wear by itself as well and just give your skin a bit of extra hydration and a little bit of luminosity to the skin without, if you want, you know, to go makeup free. It's a really nice product to wear on its own as well. But you can see the effect is quite subtle. It doesn't look anything like, for example, the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. It's a bit more of just a bit of luminosity as opposed to it being like a highlighting primer. Okay, so I'm diving into this bad boy. This is the Ninetease palette, and Jamie, if you watch her, you're familiar with her. She's a real like 90s glam girl. She a lot of cool tones, a lot of grungy looks that she loves to do on her channel, and she loves to do in her everyday makeup. She's very much like, she was made for the 90s, and as was this palette. If you are into cool tones, your life is made. So I haven't used this, as you can probably see, before. This is brand new, hot off the press today. So I'm going to start off with this Phase shadow. I have no idea about these shadows. I've not gotten around to using them yet, so we're going to find out together. I mean, that's a really nice start. What a lovely, soft, matte blend that is. Gorgeous. That took seconds to blend. Really, you can tell that a lot of effort has been put into this whole collection. Wow, that's blending like an absolute dream, and such a buildable shadow as well. This is one of those shadows that I could absolutely do like this and just be done for the day with just a little bit of something in the crease. Perfect tone for that without being too warm. By the way, I'm using my Sonia G T8. It's like my new favorite brush. Next up, I'm going to dip into Low Rise. I love these names as well, all these nods to the 90s. These mattes are amazing. They're blending like silk, so easy to work with. I'm very impressed so far. Let's go with 93. I'm just going to do a tiny little dab of this on my Shadow 4 from Rephr. I'm just wanting to sort of add a little bit of warmth into the crease there. as yet we don't have a single speck of fallout. Just working with the matte shadows so far. There's really very little kick up in the pans either. They're not powdery or dusty. They're beautiful and silky. Okay, moving over to my T7. I think I'm going to go into VHS. Let's see how the shimmers compare. Such a pretty shade. Sort of blue, almost like grey. What's the word? Gunmetal. I'm tired, okay? It's Friday. Though that's probably confusing because this will never go up on a Friday. You know how disorganized I am. What I feel like something else that's quite impressive about this brand is it's sort of made the jump from being known as like an influencer brand and managed to sort of become known as just a brand in its own right. I think because Jamie doesn't sort of just use her own image in a lot of the product shots and the advertising and the campaigns, you could almost not know that it was an influencer brand, which I think gives it a lot of credence, a lot of credibility, because she doesn't just rely on her following and her audience. She's actually really ensuring that the products speak for themselves and aren't just sort of, you know, we're buying them to support a creator we like. It's become really a well-known popular brand regardless of who's behind it, which is hard to do. You know, having dipped into a good amount of shimmer now, I'm still not seeing any fallout as yet. Okay, so I'm moving over to my Rephr 21 and I'm torn between these two shimmers. I think I'm going to go with Acid Wash, and we can always brighten it up if we're looking a little darker than I want the look to be. This is a bit of a softer shimmer, this one. It's nice to see like a sort of range of shimmers. So we've got some a bit more intense and some a bit softer, which makes the palette really nice and versatile. Just going to tap that over the top to blend. I'm definitely going to go into Dial Up and just add a bit of that at the front of the eye. Brighten that area up. I'm not using any damp brushes or anything like that. This is just the shadows, and I primed my eyes as usual with concealer and powder. So you could get, you know, a more intense look by using damp brushes or by using an eyeshadow primer, but this is definitely giving me enough impact. Really pretty shimmery shadows. Really pretty, really easy to use, and I can't see maybe there's that. Yes, okay, so I've got a couple of flecks of fallout now, really not much at all now that I've used so many shadows. I'm really impressed, really like that look. Everything worked so well, so beautiful, seamless, blendable, buildable mattes, really nice impactful shimmers. Very pretty. Now, moving on to mascara. First of all, this packaging is some of the sexiest mascara packaging I've ever seen. Look at that. Gorgeous. It feels really weighty as well and luxurious. Now, I was sent this mascara in PR and I initially thought I'm not going to like this because the brush is not my typical like preferred type of mascara brush. I usually like those sort of rubberized spiky bristles, and this is much more of like that sort of bristly brush type of wand, which I don't usually prefer, but I have used this and I like it a lot more than I thought I would. So do you see that much more classic sort of volumizing bristly brush? So yeah, not the sort of brush that I usually see and think, oh, I'm going to love that mascara, because I do like something a bit more of those rubberized, like think like the Charlotte Tilbury push-up lashes or the Benefit roller lash. That's the type of mascara wand I usually prefer. And usually these more sort of classic, like bristly, chimney sweep style mascara brushes, if you will, usually they are, you know, focused on volumizing, and typically I want a sort of more separating lengthening, lifting mascara these days. So usually this type of brush, when I see it, I think, oh, I'm not going to like that mascara. It's not for me. It's just not what I look for. But when I used this, I was really pleasantly surprised. I don't know how it does it, because these brushes are not usually good at separating lashes, but that's one quick coat and I feel like my lashes are really separated. It's really helping like brush through. It's quite lifting. It's certainly lengthening, but it does have volume, don't get me wrong, but it's not the sort of clumpy volume that I associate with this type of brush. It really does a very good job. Okay, so that's one coat of the mascara and I've just put it all over my hand. Bonus. We will of course do a couple more coats later, but I find it gives a good amount of volume, but it also keeps lengthening and lifting the lashes. I really like it. I also find it really easy to remove, more easy than your average mascara, but it doesn't smudge, flake or transfer throughout the day. And I did get a little bit rained on when I was wearing this the other day, so all good things. So next up, we've got a product that isn't one of my favorites from the brand. This is the foundation. So this is the Skin Nova Complexion Balm, and it comes in more of like a skin tint packaging, but I would say this is pretty much a foundation. It has like a decent amount of coverage. It's sort of one of those that claims to be like a buildable coverage. I would say you get about like a medium coverage from it. Slight sort of skincare scent to it, nothing overpowering or like perfumey. Now, I just want to be clear, this isn't like a terrible product. It's just not my personal cup of tea when it comes to a complexion product. I know this is like a really popular one, so don't be put off by my individual personal thoughts, because you might really enjoy this a lot more than I do. It's just a little more matte than I typically prefer my complexion products. You know, I love really super glowy base products, and I wouldn't say it's like matte. I'd say it's a more sort of natural finish, definitely not flat, but me personally, I just want a little bit more glow. I would also say that the packaging is, you know, one of those more travel friendly sort of skin tint type of packaging, and I do prefer something a little bit more luxurious. I do like a glass bottle, I can't lie to you. But it does have its, you know, benefits. It's much easier for travel and much more of a sort of less easy to break product. So pros and cons. I think it's very flattering. You can see that's a sort of light first initial amount applied with a sponge. So of course that's going to soak up some of the product. But we still probably got sort of a light approaching light medium amount of coverage, and it does build really nicely. Let's take a look if we can get rid of a little bit more of this redness. Just build there, and yeah, you can see that's much more evened out. That redness on my cheeks, which is thriving at the moment. So I'd say now we're pretty much at like the sort of light medium amount of coverage. I don't really feel like the need to build it up anymore, but I think you can get a little more coverage out of it. You can still sort of see here there's a bit of like my melasma showing through, still a little bit of redness. I do find it looks really natural and skin-like. It is obviously just freshly applied, so it's looking a little glowier than how it dries down, but we'll have another look at the end at the finish, because it will dry down a little more than this. Let's go for another coat of mascara. Never do just one, are you crazy? So with that second coat of the mascara, you can see the drama has increased. We've got a bit more length, a bit more volume, and now it's really looking really nice. I'm really liking this mascara. Moving on to the concealer, which I've never tried before. This was one of my most highly recommended products from the brand that you guys were telling me I must try. I was a little worried the shade might be a little dark. I went with shade medium 1, but I think it's pretty spot on. Blend with my sponge. I mean, it feels very creamy. It's blending into the skin so easily. I have heard really good things about this concealer for mature skin, so I'm really hoping it's going to be really nice and flattering and not sit in lines and not crease. I feel like I barely did anything to blend that. It's really blended in all on its own accord almost. I mean, I've not set with powder yet. It's not even creasing without being set, which is very impressive. Coverage is amazing. I feel confused because I feel like it was really light consistency and it feels like I applied a very small amount, and yet it seems to have covered really, really well. So it's good first impression. I will of course keep you posted on how it develops and wears throughout the day, but it's a very good start. So I'm just setting that with my usual Givenchy powder because I don't think Vive yet has like a setting powder, a loose setting powder, so maybe that's next on the cards. I hope so. So one of the products that I ordered especially for this video was the bronzer duo. I went with the shade Tan because I felt like this looked cooler than the medium, so I wanted to go for this shade, even though it may be a little deep, but we'll try and use a light hand. Really impressed with this packaging, very luxurious, nice weight to it, sturdy, really reminds me of the Victoria Beckham bronzer. So I'm just going to start bronzing with a light hand because this does look a little deep. But no, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. I've just sort of dipped into both shades. This is a matte bronzer, so, you know, I don't know that it's going to be my favourite because I do like a bit of glow, a bit of luminosity to my bronzers. But again, there's really no kick up in here. It's not powdery or dusty. It's not too pigmented, which a lot of powder products, sometimes, you know, you do one touch of your brush and then you've got a bit of a problem having to blend until the cows come home. But this is like a more sort of buildable, effortless amount of pigment that gives you the luxury of being able to build as much as you want and not having that problem having to blend out. Brush, I'm terrible at telling you, TF1 from Sonia. I really like that you've got something a bit sort of more of a reddish tone, and then you've got something a bit cooler in here as well, so you can kind of blend or favour one side. You see like a warmer and a cooler option. So for me, blending these together is perfect, but if you wanted something a bit more contouring, sculpting, you could just use the cooler tone. If you want something a bit warmer, then you could use the warmer tone. But I love how natural that is, and it's blended beautifully. Very pretty. You can see now how that complexion balm has like dried down and it's pretty matte now, hence why the reason it's like not my all-time favourite. So next up we have, thank you. Next up we have one of the Dimension face palettes. This is in the shade Twilight. And this is frankly all of my dreams come true, except this shade is terrifying, but you know, I won't be using that, so we'll be fine. Let's have a little swatcheroo. I mean, this is actually what I appreciate about this palette is that we've got quite a variance of blush shades. You know, they're not just all peach or all pink. You've got something, you know, a bit more versatile with a bit more for different preferences. I wasn't sure if this would be too deep, but seeing it there, I think it's fine. And actually, this terrifying blush looks much more wearable swatched than it did in the pan. Still won't be using it though. You know I'm too much of a wimp for that. Again, really nice packaging. It's not like sort of over the top, so it's hard to store, but it feels nice, it feels weighty. That's rather intense, but if you know Jamie, you know that she does love a highlighter, so no surprises, to be honest. Not too deep for me at all. I feel like this is the perfect depth actually, just maybe a little intense to what I would typically prefer. And we also have 3 matte blushes, so yeah, I feel like I would have preferred at least one glowing blush, please. But you know, that having started off really intense, it has really blended beautifully to give me something a bit more like the level of highlight that I like. Something a bit more of a sort of understated, which is my preference. Definitely wearable for me now. I think I'm going to go into this blush down here and see how we like it. It's a bit more of a soft, sort of natural wash of colour, but actually pretty pigmented. This is the deeper, I think, of the two. I think there's two of these, so this is like the one sort of more tailored for a more medium and up skin tone. So yeah, that's a lot more pigmented than I was expecting. Let me get my buffer. Just gonna slightly buff that a little so we're not quite so intense with the blush. But it is good to see that on, you know, what is the deeper skin tone palette, that's the lightest blush. So you can see how rich and deep these will build on the skin, which is good to see. The way it should be. I should not be able to use the deepest palette from anybody. So I'm going to just dive back into my eyeshadow palette, and I'm just going to do a little bit of phase on the lower lash line. Don't feel like I need a lot more just for the school run today. A little bit much. Luckily I stay in my car these days, so no one thinks I'm bonkers. Apart from my daughter, obviously, but that's to be expected. Okay, so lipstick. I went for the shade Deity, which looks to be like my perfect nude. It looks like a very nice autumnal shade as well to me. Smells delightful. Very creamy. Again, this really feels so 90s to me. It reminds me of, what was that? Was it Heather? Soft Heather? What was that? You know the lipstick I'm talking about. What was it called? We all had it in the 90s. That's what this is reminding me of. So pretty. A little bit more of a sort of medium opacity. It's not like one swipe. Super opaque. It's a bit more of a sort of medium opacity, a bit more of a natural amount of pigment, but really nice and buildable. Very lightweight, actually. Really creamy. Not a sort of flat matte at all. Feels like nice and comfortable. It's not going to dry your lips out. Okay, and here is the finished full face of Vieve makeup. What do you guys think? Do you have like a favourite item? Oh, I might actually do a little bit of lower lash mascara because, again, strangely, I do find this mascara quite good on the lower lashes. I find it quite easy. Watch me like put it everywhere now. But I do find it quite easy when I'm not filming to use this on lower lashes for something that has such a large, like, bristlier brush. Typically that's not the case, but I think this is quite clever in that the bristles sort of taper, so you're not getting the whole size of that larger brush touching your lashes unless you sort of, you know, comb it through like you would the top lashes. You just are getting the sort of tips when you use it lightly on that lower lash line, so I think it works really nicely on the lower lashes as well, which is unusual for such a large bristlier mascara brush. Okay, so this is the finished look. Let's go through the products and I will give you my top recommendations. So as far as the primer goes, it's not my favorite primer. I do have primers that I prefer over this one, but I think it's nice. I think it does a good job of hydrating, and I think it's one of those good multitasking products that you could use on a no makeup day and just give it something, a bit of hydration and protection to the skin. So I like it. I don't totally obsessively love it. The Complexion balm I think is a good product. It's just not my personal cup of tea. As you can see now, it's dried down. It's fairly matte. I'd like a little more coverage, a little more of a luxurious packaging, but it's a nice solid natural matte finish, light to sort of like medium coverage. You only need a small amount. I do find it quite flattering on texture, and it does wear solidly well for a 8 hours. I just like something a bit glowier to my foundations, my base products, but I think for a lot of people you'll find this very friendly to more mature skin, to oilier skin, if you want something really natural just to, you know, polish your skin and even things up. Then it is a really nice natural skin-like texture. I just need more glow. Eyeshadow palette I'm super impressed by. This is not the color story that I typically would use a lot, but I think it's been done like really wearably, and the formulas are so good. Really silky, blendable, buildable mattes, nice impactful shimmers with that only a little bit of fallout, no kick up on any of the shadows. So, you know, you're not going to make a mess. It's not going to be hard to blend. They're not too pigmented or hard to use. They build beautifully, they blend beautifully, and they look so pretty on the eyes. Really beautiful, smooth, quite flattering as well on texture on your lids. Really nice packaging, really easy to use, beautiful shadows. I think they've got great formulas there. The mascara I already was wowed by before doing this video. I've used this a good few times now and really been impressed by it. It's got all the drama that I need, not too much clumping or, you know, those too overly clumped together lashes for a volumizing mascara. Good amount of length and lift, really nice separation despite that sort of more bristly brush, which I'm impressed by. Gorgeous packaging, really easy to remove, no problems with the way it wears throughout the day. Really solid, really nice mascara. I think the concealer might be my favorite product yet that I've tried from the brand. So thank all of you who recommended that I try this, because I have really high hopes for this. It's light, it feels very comfortable under my eyes. It covered very, very well, given I only used a small amount and I used a sponge to blend it. I'm surprised by how well it covered because it feels really lightweight. The texture is really thin, which is really, really flattering and good news for more mature eyes. No creasing whatsoever as yet. I will let you know how I get on with this throughout the day, but again, really nice packaging, really lovely gentle doe foot, perfect size and shape. A lot to like about the concealer. The bronzer palette I like just because I like something a bit more glowy. I don't think it's going to become one that I use a huge amount, but I think if you like a matte bronzer, this is excellent. It's natural, it gives you a good amount of pigment that is buildable and easy to blend, but you don't need to do a lot of work because it's not overly pigmented, and it looks so light and natural on the skin. Really does not look powdery at all or heavy, and really easy to use. I like that you get the two shades, so you can kind of customize as to how much warmth or coolness you want to your bronzer, or if you're sculpting. Really gorgeous packaging, really, really nice bronzer. I just prefer something a bit more luminous. Maybe we'll get a luminous bronzer next. I know they have a cream bronzer. What's the finish of that like? Is it glowy? Let me know. Maybe I'll try that next. The face palette. It's a nice face palette. I like the combination of colours. The highlighter is a little intense for my personal preference. The blushes are beautiful and I'm impressed by how rich they can be, and I didn't even need to build them even using the lightest shade. But with them all being matte, I wish there was like at least one glowy blush in here in order for me to love, love, love it and it become one of my favourites. But again, really solid, really good formulas, really easy to use, blendable, beautiful on the cheeks. Not too heavy, not too powdery, really light and pretty, and they blended like a dream. Again, lots to like from the blush palette. The lipstick I like. It's not a huge obsessive love. I feel like it has a little less pigment than some of the matte lipsticks I tried, like for example like the Pat McGrath ones and the Lisa Eldridge. That's one swipe and you just get full ridiculous pigment. They are more creamy. They're a little more similar to like the Charlotte Tilbury, where you might want a few layers or a few passes to get full opacity, and they're creamier and not so sort of dead flat matte. So if you're wanting something like that from your lipstick, these are a little creamier, a little lighter, which I really like. Packaging is beautiful. I think this shade is really lovely and it feels very comfortable. Like I could almost have nothing on my lips at all. Very light, very comfortable, not drying, really nice, comfortable formula. So my picks from everything I tried today are absolutely the new mascara and the concealer. I think they are my favourite things I tried. But to be honest, there's no duds here. Everything is solid. Everything performs well. All of the formulas are really, really good quality, and you can really see and feel that as you're using them. Some of these products just aren't my personal preference for a product, but I can still appreciate that they are all decent products with a really nice performance, really nice formulas, and no duds found today. No duds to be found anywhere. So there you have it. That is my full face testing review of Vieve Beauty. Please let me know if you've tried anything from this brand. What are your favourites? Have you heard of them? Have you tried them? What are all of your thoughts on this brand? Please let us know in the comments section down below. But thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I would love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.